Their final, and this is for the competitors aged 11 to 14. So far this week, it has been all about this man, the young man from Ukraine. They call him the Phoenix. Oleksandr Bondarev has had a bit of a tricky Champions of the Future Euro Series campaign so far in 2023. He is set to put that right here in Cremona. Fastest in his qualifying group, 5 qualifying heat wins, and second in this morning's superheat. He now has 126 points in the championship. He is only 31 behind the championship leader, Lewis Werrell. It is very much game on for the title fight. Both here and Franciacorta in September are going to be big weekends for this young man who lives out in Monza in Italy. This time last year, he wasn't even sure if he would walk again after a big accident suffered in Spain. Not only can he walk, but he can charge. He is absolutely in his A-game right now. This could be one of those races where the championship battle suddenly turns on its head. There's a decent gap between the top three, 31 points, but there are 31 points on offer in this one, so it could potentially all be square by the end of this race. Let's find out. Here is the grid. Oleksandr Bondarev and Nicholas Schaeffler on the front row from Dries van Langendonk and Christian Castoya. Then Tibor Ramekes and Tame Saleh, Jacopo Martinez and Salim Hanna. Then Filippo Sala and Stefan Antonov, Arjen Kreling and Mies Huben, Jack Eilif and Noah Wolf, Scott Lindblom and Oliver Kinmark, Lewis Werrell and Kit Malowski from Zach Drummond and Tiziano Monza, Lev Kutelov, Maria Nito, Alfie Slater, Kirill Ditiev, Noah Montero, Andy Consani, Davide Bottaro, Medel Peldes, Vivek Kanthan, Matt Corby, Matthias Orjuela, Ludovico Busso, David Cosma, Lewis Francis, Alp Hassan Aksoy, and the Canadian Jensen Burnett.
Busy old grid on this one. 36 drivers, like we're saying, whittled down from well over 100, I believe 107 in total that entered into the weekend. Like you say, 36, it's difficult to get into these finals, and for a lot of the drivers now, they'll be watching from the sidelines. The viewing spectator area is absolutely packed at the moment with mechanics, drivers, family members, everything like that, ready to watch this final 21 laps about to unfold, and we're going to decide who is going to be going into the final round of the championship, leading in the points standings. At the moment, it is Lewis Werrell, 157 points from Tibor Ramekes and Oleksandr Bondarev. Bondarev, who jumped into this weekend, I think he jumped into this weekend 8th. At the end of the qualifying heats, he jumped up into 5th in the point standings. Now, going into the final, he is 3rd. Can he change that now into a lead in the champ standings? That is the ultimate question, and right now he has got the best advantage to do that. He starts it on the front row, on pole position, but remember, he did not win his superheat earlier. Best result he could get up in that was 2nd.
21 laps in front of us. Every single kart has fresh tyres for this race. They've had to work on the set and a half of tyres that they've had from the start of qualifying on Thursday morning all the way through to the end of the superheat earlier this morning. And now they finally get a fresh pair of boots. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. But Bondarev in the Kart Republic, Nicholas Schaeffler beside him in his for the DPK satellite squad. Then the Forza Expert of Dries van Langendonk, the Paralin of Christian Castoya, the VDK Kart Republic of Tibor Ramekes, and the Sauber Academy Kart Republic of Tame Saleh.
Oh, and already not even starting the 46s off the track.
That's a disaster for Maria Nito. Are we racing? We are racing! Up to the first corner. Oleksandr Bondarev will take the lead in first corner. Nicholas Schaeffler and Christian Castoya trying to run around the outside of Dries van Langendonk, but van Langendonk has held 3rd position. Good start. There's a little bit of conflagration further back. 1 or 2 karts out of sorts, but they just about managed to point in the right direction. Is everybody going to get through at turn 5? Looks like it's a very hectic start, but there is contact back at turn 5. Several karts have gone. Several are trying to recover, but unfortunately that is 6 karts by the look of it. And that is Medel Peldes. The 77 is in there as well of Lev Kutelov. We've also got Maria Nito having not started. And then Andy Consani, also Matt Corby, Kirill Ditiev, Lewis Francis and Alp Hassan Aksoy all involved in that first lap pileup.
Yeah, that is not what you want to see at the start of a final, but the race carries on. We are still under green flag conditions for the whole of the lap. It's just the yellows in turn number 5 as they cross the start-finish line. Bondarev still leads from Schaeffler. Schaeffler right on that rear bumper, though it is very, very close. Van Langendonk's had a good start to his race. Tibor Ramekes had a good start, so as Castoya. Tame Saleh, though, has not had a good start. He has dropped all the way down to P7 at the start of this one. He will be annoyed about that, but he's got plenty of time to sort that one out as Bondarev is already starting to open up a little bit of a gap, and already there's karts diving to the inside. One of them is Tame Saleh on Martinez.
Yep, Tame Saleh tried his best to get through, has not been able to finish the job, but certainly Martinez just in front of him. Now trying to thwart the attack again. Van Langendonk goes for the inside of Nicolas Schaufler. Job done into second position. And now Thibaut Ramekers wants to go for the move on the Austrian. Out of the final turn. Bondarev's got a bit of daylight. Then it's Dries Van Langendonk in second. From Schaufler, Ramekers, Martinez. Then it is Tame Saleh in front of Castoya, Sala, Hanna, Kraling, Wolf, Antonov, Hubert and Oliver Kinmark.
These top drivers are going to have to sort this squabbling out. Otherwise, they are just going to lose touch with Oleksandr Bondarev. He has already opened up now a 6/10 gap, and that is not what they need. Tame Saleh's managed to get the move done, and I think he's moved up into P3 now. No, that's a little further down, P5. So still making the moves, but look at that. Everyone defensive in towards it. That was Ramekers going defensive there from Castoya. Spin in the background. That looked like Filippo Sala.
It is indeed. Filippo Sala, the Italian, has gone in the Sodi kart down at the hairpin. Very unfortunate indeed. And I think Salim Hanna got caught up in that as well. He now finds himself down at the back of the field. Very unfortunate for Salim Hanna. He's rejoined in 16th, but that's a lot of places lost. And for Filippo Sala, he's lost even more than that. Bondarev, your leader, from Van Langendonk. And that's Scott Lindblom parking it in the pit lane as well. Very disappointing indeed for the Swede.
Yeah, this has not been a good final for quite a few of these drivers. Very shaky start. There is still around 19 or so laps remaining of this race, so there is still plenty of time, though, for the rest of the field. Van Langendonk, though, is on the charge.
Mies Hubben just went over the back of Slater's kart in the middle of the chicane, and somehow they kept going. Just saw that out of the corner of my eye. That could cause an issue for Mies Hubben's front fairing.
Yeah, it could do. Well, we'll have to find that one out at the end of the race. We'll keep an eye on it as well. If the cameras get a close shot, we can see if it has dropped. But fastest lap now going to Jenson Burnett. Burnett, who's currently sitting all the way down in P26. He's gained 10 positions. That's only because I think half the grid has just crashed.
Well, indeed. We've had 9 retirements so far at this point, which is quite incredible considering we're only on lap 5. But Bondarev's got the lead and the pace. Dries Van Langendonk in second. Then it's Schaufler versus Martinez. Here's a replay of the start. Now watch the inside line from Van Langendonk. He's got Schaufler to his left. Castoya trying to go right round the outside there as well. He's had to bail off the throttle to let Schaufler go. And as you can see, Castoya so nearly throwing it away at turn 3, and then up in the air went Lindblom, so that must be where the damage to his kart was done.
Yeah, and again, everyone just dipping a wheel onto that outside. Kip Bolowski was another one. Then it all came together here, and, well, there's why Scott Lindblom's pulled it into the pit lane.
I think it's
heavy front-end damage.
I think the first pirouette really came from Medel Peldes. Not entirely sure. Oh, sorry, it was Lev Krutelov that went around, and then essentially everybody had to try and take avoiding action, and once you're facing the wrong way on the inside line, there is absolutely no chance. So unfortunately, several drivers unable to avoid the conflagration. So the retirements are Sala, Lindblom, Krutelov, Nito, Consani, Beldes, Corby, Francis and Alpasan-Aksoy. Bitterly disappointing. Before the first lap was even completed, we had lost about 7 drivers there. So bitterly disappointing.
Yeah, very, very shaky start then from the grid. Eyes on the championship, though, because that's certainly got a little bit interesting now. Werrell still leads the championship with 161 championship points. With his current position that he is in, he is further down the field. He is in P13 at the moment.
Oh, and off goes Castoya. Castoya's run off the road there, trying to battle with Schaufler, and that's dropped him a long way back. He's going to lose more and more places. Lewis Werrell will find his way through, and that's going to put him all the way down. Castoya to 13th place.
Yeah, that is not what he needs, though. That certainly won't help his championship out. But though Bondarev, though, who leads the way, he has certainly dipped his toes into a good spot of the championship. Now, with 156, he moves up second in the championship, meaning there is literally a handful of points going into the final round at Franciacorta at the beginning of September for the championship. Certainly very interesting. Here is a replay of Nicolas Schaufler going down the inside of Castoya, and it was just that moment there, and Castoya very, very close.
Nothing wrong with that overtake at all from Schaufler either. He really nailed the inside line, and now it's going to be Antonov doing the same thing to Schaufler. This time Schaufler stays off the gravel, off the grass, somehow keeping the kart facing in the right direction despite a full Tommy Mäkinen power slide.
Yeah, that was good kart control there. He holds onto it, but crucially, sliding is not the quickest way around a corner, and now he's got a bit of a train starting to fall behind him. He's got Wolf, Kinmark, Kraling, Drummond, Werrell, Castoya and Eilif all behind. Wolf the first of that, and he is going to try and go for the overtake, I suspect, into the next corner, because it looked like it was going to go for the overtake through the turn 7 chicane, down into the braking zone. Now everyone going for the lunge down the inside, and that looked like Werrell getting the move done in the background.
So Lewis Werrell moving his way up into 11th position as a result of that. That's going to help his
There goes
points
Wolf.
tally. Wolf on the inside, Kinmark on the inside, Schaufler going backwards. This really isn't helping the DPK driver at all. That's the problem. Once you lose momentum, you lose a lot more than just 1 or 2 positions, as Jack Eiliff is trying to hold it together in his battle further down the order. He's having a nice little tussle with Arjen Kleiling and Alfie Slater. But Nicholas Schaufler under big pressure from Christian Costoya. The two of them were battling for 2nd position. Now they are battling for 11th place. It is amazing how the fortunes change so rapidly. Meanwhile, up at the front, Oleksandr Bondarev is no longer dominating this. Dries van Langendonk is catching him big time.
I was going to keep that secret for just a little bit longer. I just wanted to see what the gap was doing because, yes, it has come down a little bit, but it's still at a disadvantage to Dries van Langendonk, as Schaufler here is just being shuffled back in the pack. He is trying his level best to keep the field behind him, but right now they are just taking turns at taking positions here, and the Ricky Flynn driver getting very close. I think that's Alfie Slater going nearly side by side there and wheel to wheel with, I believe, Costoya, who is very close behind. This is Wolf, though, who's latched onto the back of Oliver Kinmark. Those two now have broken away from that pack, and they are trying to chase down Stepan Antonov and Tame Soleil, who are a little further up the road. But yes, you're right, that gap at the front is coming down. It's another 2/10 that has come out of it. It's still at 4/10 of a second, but Bondarev and Van Langendonk, the battle is just beginning.
And fair play to Lewis Werrell, the championship leader. He is not giving up here at all. He's worked his way up into 10th position. He has got through 7 karts. He's got another 9 to go before he reaches the lead. That looks a little bit out of reach for the moment, but every place he makes up is more points to add to his championship tally to increase his advantage heading to Franciacorta for the final round. So it's definitely looking very strong indeed for Lewis Werrell. If he can keep adding positions to his tally, if he can keep going through the pack, he should be able to score decent points in this final to help him out and move him further forward. For the moment, it is Bondarev in front of Dries van Langendonk at the tune of about 4/10 of a second. It's staying pretty steady at that at the moment. Martinez in third from Ramekers, Soleil and Stepan Antonov, who now sets the fastest lap. Kinmark, Wolf, Drummond, Werrell, Costoya and Schaufler, Slater, Hanna, Ruben, Eiliff, Kreiling, Monza, Montero and David Kozma.
It is certainly going to be a very close end to this final. Plenty of time left, and it's still 10 laps to go at the end of this one. And there is your top two, Bondarev and Van Langendonk. There in third place is Martinez. Then Ramekers goes through, Tame Soleil, Antonov. And this was the moment Schaufler going side by side with, I believe,
that's Costoya.
It is Costoya, yeah, he's off with. And Costoya, well, he was very lucky to keep that on the tarmac as much as he did. Luckily for him, only losing a couple of positions.
So now we've got Van Langendonk in 2nd position behind Bondarev. And then in 3rd place, Martinez in front of Ramekers and Tame Soleil. So the top 6, with Antonov there in P6, still very evenly matched in terms of 1-lap pace. Van Langendonk has crept up to 4th in the standings with this performance. 142 is what he would leave here with. Martinez would leave here with 130. So in fact, if it ends like this, then the top 7 drivers in the championship would only be separated by 43 points. That is absolutely wide open as far as the title fight is concerned. And look at Van Langendonk in the 3rd split. He has absolutely caught up to Bondarev a little bit more.
Yeah, now 3/10 of a second is the gap. If anything, for some drivers, that's lunge distance. I don't think it's quite there yet for Van Langendonk, but certainly he has whittled away at that gap, and crucially, they have pulled away from Martinez. Martinez has not been able to close in with them, but he is still right there, and as soon as Van Langendonk goes for the move, if he can go for the move, Martinez will be right on the scene.
Well, if you're René Lammers or Thomas Stolchemanis, that is absolutely lunge distance,
isn't it? Yes.
These guys are still juniors. They're still working up to that kind of banzai maneuver, but they are usually the kind of drivers, Lammers and Stolchemanis in the senior, that can not only make that move, but also pull it off. Van Langendonk, though, very quick in the 3rd sector. Bondarev knows it, checks over his shoulder. Now he knows that Van Langendonk is there, so this is time to step up the attack a little bit more. He could have to concede the victory here, and if he does, then he's still going to be comparable to Werrell in the title fight. Tiziano Monza under investigation. That is unfortunate. The Singaporean has been one of the stars of the weekend in the qualifying heats, was always right up in the top 6, always fighting his corner. And very unfortunate to see the Singaporean now under investigation for not sure what for, but he's certainly cutting his teeth and doing a great job in there, battling with the likes of Schaufler, Montero and David Kozma. As we watch the top 2 drivers in this race Bondarev and Van Langendonk, who, if it stays like this, are going to leave here 2nd and 4th in the championship, having taken a big chunk out of Lewis Werrell's advantage.
Yeah, you were saying earlier if Bondarev would concede the spot here, he will definitely not do that if he can help it. I mean, he is fighting for this championship. It was a shaky start to the season for Bondarev. He was finding his feet again. But he certainly has going into the second half of this, and he's certainly come out of his shell a lot more and has just been fighting fiercely all the way throughout this. But it can be the same can be said for Van Langendonk and for Martinez, as Nicolas Schaufler receives a warning flag, a 5-second time penalty for Nicolas Schaufler. I mean, himself already is all the way down in P16. He has tumbled down the order from his starting spot on the front of the grid. It has not been the final he wanted after doing a superb job in qualifying.
This final for Nicolas Schaufler has not been a case of what can go wrong. It has been a case of how many things can go wrong. This is him battling away with Stepan Antonov earlier in the race. Fair play to Nicolas Schaufler for keeping it on the road. I'm not entirely sure why he's been given the warning flag. Surely it can't be for the incident between him and Christian Castoya.
It may have been for that. And of course, you saw earlier on here how much he was defending.
Van Langendonk's in the lead. He's got through past Bondarev. So Van Langendonk has taken the lead on Oleksandr Bondarev, and that has backed the Ukrainian into the path of Jacopo Martinez. So Van Langendonk has taken the lead.
And that's a big gap that he's got already. All we did was watch a replay. It wasn't a long time we were away for, and all of a sudden, so something must have happened then between the two of them. Hopefully we will get to see that, but like you're saying, Martinez is now all over that rear bumper of Bondarev here, and Bondarev now could be in trouble as he might get swamped into the pack.
I'm thinking that might have been a turn 3 job from Van Langendonk on Bondarev. That might be where the momentum was afforded. Now, big question. Does Martinez go for the move here on Bondarev, or does he slot behind him, work with him, catch back up to Van Langendonk, and then hope that the two of them get into a little bit of badinage so that he can find his way through to 3rd position? Both the drivers, Bondarev and Martinez, for the Kart Republic factory team. So it makes sense at this point in the race, when you've got 5 laps to go, to team up. Don't battle each other, because you'll end up costing each other places. But Martinez does not want to work with Bondarev. He slides through in a 2nd position, decides to signal to Bondarev, work with me, let's go after the man in front, Dries Van Langendonk. But this is a very tough order for Bondarev now to catch back up. Martinez into 2nd position, though, the Italian driving beautifully.
He's driving beautifully, but I think I know the reason why he wants to push forward. Have you seen that front nose cone? Look at the size of the dent in the front of that. That is a big question mark on the front of Jacopo Martinez's kart. He could be in trouble at the end of this race, but remember, the brackets on the bumper can hold for quite a bit of a knock, but too much, and it will drop.
That's a very good point. That's not entirely sure for Jacopo Martinez in 2nd position, whether that's going to be out of position. If it is loose, of course, for those watching karting at this level for the first time, if it is a loose front fairing, then that's a 5-second penalty, because that is to dissuade drivers from basically ramming each other off the racetrack. So Jacopo Martinez may have a loose front fairing there. If that's the case, it'll be a 5-second penalty without question. But certainly for the man up front, Dries Van Langendonk, the Belgian, is doing a beautiful job in the Forza Racing Expert. It's been a long time coming, his first win in the RGMMC paddock, and you know what? If he wraps this one up, it will be absolutely deserved.
Moved to the Forza team in the Czech Republic halfway through the season, didn't he? So it was battle with fire. There was the overtake.
At turn 2?
It was turn 2. So down the inside and got it done. That was the moment that Jacopo Martinez got the move done. That was at the turn 8 hairpin, the far end of the course. But yeah, so a very interesting place there for Dries Van Langendonk. He just must have had such a good run in towards turn 1.
Well, that was bold as brass from Dries Van Langendonk to go for the move there into turn 2. It really shows his commitment and his determination. Tibor Rameka's now back to the fastest lap of the race in the hope that he can edge Oleksandr Bondarev off the podium. So he's got to work hard here, the Belgian, to try and close up, because we've only got 2 laps to go now. As here comes the race leader, Dries Van Langendonk, with one of the most brilliant OK Junior passes we've seen all weekend to take the lead.
Yeah, very, very nice move through turn number 2 a few laps ago. And that gap has opened up now to nearly 0.8 of a second. A little further back, though, Tibor Rameka's is closing in. He set the fastest lap earlier on. That's now been taken away from Dries Van Langendonk, who leads with the 49.346. So he's having a good run at the start. Stepan Antonov, who's had a good recovery, is up now 5 positions into P5. Remember, he was 2nd going into this weekend in the championships. He has tumbled down now into I think, 5th in the point standings now, as Dries van Langendonk has put himself up to 4th.
So it's going to be a very interesting closing lap then for the man up front, as the Forza Racing expert driver from Belgium hangs on in front of Martinez, Bondarev and Ramekes. What a brilliant performance it's been from these four, who have been arguably the 4 best drivers in Junior of the weekend. They have all pushed rapidly without even blinking an eye. They have given us plenty of entertainment and drama throughout. There are 26 of the 36 drivers still left, because I'm afraid that the Paralympic driver Zach Drummond, an early championship contender, has also pulled out of the race. He will still be 7th in the points when he leaves here, but he will certainly not be at the same sort of mark as the drivers up front. But now we are going to have our 4th different final winner of Champions of the Future Euro Series 2023. It was Tibor Ramekes in Spain. It was Oleksandr Bondarev in the Czech Republic. It was Lewis Werrell in Denmark. Now it is Dries van Langendonk. He wins beautifully in Cremona for the Forza Racing expert team. His first win in a final in OK Junior, and it's been a very short path for Dries van Langendonk to storm up to the front. We said at the start, didn't we, from the second row, watch out for Dries van Langendonk. He's the danger man, and now he has vanquished all. What a brilliant run from Dries van Langendonk.
A certainly brilliant weekend for him. Delighted with the result. He pushes himself up now 4th in the championship standings, just 2 points behind Oleksandr Bondarev, and only a handful of points behind the top 2 drivers as well, Lewis Werrell and Tibor Ramekes, who still are 1-2 in the championship. But for Dries van Langendonk, it could be a teamwork battle for the championship in the final in Franciacorta in a few weeks' time. Certainly a very dramatic final there, but what a result for the top drivers, and a very cheeky fastest lap on that penultimate lap, going to Oliver Kinmark for the Koski Motorsport team. He picks himself up 1 championship point for that fastest lap. There's a look at the intermediate, or the classifications at the end of that final.
Let's go through the highlights from a brilliant final. Oleksandr Bondarev and Nicholas Schaufler dueling to the first corner. Dries van Langendonk caught out initially as he ended up dropping to 4th position, but then Castoya drifting wide. That gave the Belgian the chance to come back into 3rd position. A few drivers caught out in the opening lap as a few of them ran wide, and then into turn 4, bang! Crash after crash after crash as we lost Aksoy, Francis, Corby, Peldes, Kansani, Krutulov, Lindblom, Sala, and technically speaking, Marianito as well, although she had pulled out before the race had even started. 9 drivers out on the first lap.
It was certainly a difficult start to the race, but the race did continue on as well. Then this driver here, Nicholas Schaufler, who started it on the front row, at this point just started to tumble down the order. Despite his very best efforts, he would then get swamped by the pack as everyone here was trying to find their way through. Tame Soleil, Tibor Ramekes, everyone trying to find that spot to do. Jacopo Martinez, who ended up finishing this race in 2nd place, was also part of that fray. Look at the time and track he had to try and gain, even despite the fact that it was all the way back there in the group.
He certainly worked hard. This was one of the pinch point moments of the race. Castoya drifting wide after a move from Nicholas Schaufler, and then incredibly, Schaufler would have very similar done to him a lap later by Stepan Antonov, as unfortunately, the 2 men who had started on the outside row, 2nd and 4th on the grid, Schaufler and Castoya, drifting down the order until both men were just on the outskirts of the top 10. Castoya falling all the way to 10th, and Schaufler falling all the way to 15th. But there were more great battles through the field. Jack Iliff getting his sleeves rolled up. Alfie Slater working his way through and making up 11 places on the starting grid. Great run from the young Brit. But this was the moment. Dries van Langendonk zipping up the inside of Oleksandr Bondarev in turn 2. A very tricky overtaking move, repeated then at the hairpin by Jacopo Martinez to move up into 2nd position. It's definitely game on for the title now. Werrell coming through to P9, but Dries van Langendonk taking the win means there's now 4 drivers in the title fight, separated by just 19 points, heading to Franciacorta.
Well, still a fabulous final.
The junior final here at Cremona. What a brilliant battle it has been. Let's welcome our 3 drivers to the podium. In 3rd position for Ukraine, Oleksandr Bondarev. A great performance from Bondarev. He now gets himself right into the hunt for the title in 3rd position. In 2nd place for Italy, Jacopo Martinez. A great run from the Italian on home soil as well to get a second position. But your race winner for Belgium, Dries van Langendonk. A brilliant performance from the Forza Racing driver, and please welcome the winning team manager to the podium as well, Jamie Croxford. A great performance from the Forza Racing team, and in deference to our man on the top of the podium, the national anthem for Belgium. Congratulations to our drivers on the podium. We will ask Ennio Gandolfi of the Cremona circuit to present the trophies to our drivers on the podium. Firstly, in third position for Ukraine, Oleksandr Bondarev. And in second position for Italy, Jacopo Martinez. And to our race-winning driver for Belgium, Dries van Langendonk. And we will also present the winning team manager with the trophy for Forza Racing. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Croxford. A hearty congratulations to our three junior drivers who now set up a fabulous four-way title fight heading to Franciacorta in September. It's going to be a great show when we head there. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask our drivers together on the top step of the podium for the joint photograph. Jamie Croxford, you can get in as well, as close to the drivers as possible. But there you are, your trophy winners. Jamie Croxford for Forza Racing, and your three drivers, Oleksandr Bondarev, Jacopo Martinez, and your race winner, Dries van Langendonk. And so as the drivers celebrate with the trophies, they now get to celebrate in a completely different fashion on the podium. The moment that they've been waiting for. Jamie, you might want to scarper, because it's time now for our drivers on the podium to get busy with the fizzy. Congratulations to our three juniors. What a final they have given us here in Cremona. And for the first time, Dries van Langendonk will take...